Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? Don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, you are too arrogant. If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.
Go ahead.
Welcome again to Street Talk. My name is Ahmad Shakaraki. And on Street Talk, we deal with political, social, and economics here in Michigan, the U.S., and abroad. Now, joining me tonight,
Dennis Burnside.
Charles Thomas.
Paget Maynard.
Okay, man, we got a lot to cover, but we want to keep putting these great ladies out front. You say you had a lady you want to talk about today.
Yeah, I've got two I want to talk about from the Haitian Revolution.
Okay.
Two key women. One by the name of Abriela Toya, who was actually captured and enslaved by the French in Africa.
Okay.
But before she was captured and enslaved, she was part of the Hoya people, and she fought in military formation.
Okay.
And that military formation she came out of came to be known as the infamous Amazon women.
Oh, okay.
Because what they did, they decided when they were fighting the enslavers that they would march with the men up front and the women in back,
Okay.
just to get more bodies and make the enslavers feel like they had a larger resistance out front of them. And actually they had women in the back, and it turned out these women were bad. They were fighters, and they became world renowned as the Amazon.
That's where the name Amazon.
That's where it comes from.
Amazon woman.
And she ended up being captured. She came to Haiti and soon met Dessalines, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, who was the leader of the Haitian government after it won the revolution. And she actually taught him hand-to-hand combat and knife fighting. So she was an indispensable part of the Haitian Revolution.
Wow.
Another woman I want to talk about is Cecil Fatima.
Okay.
She was enslaved as a housekeeper and cook, but she had intimate knowledge of plants and pharmaceutical benefits of these plants. She was also a Vodun priestess, which nowadays they call it voodoo and everybody's scared of. It's just African spirituality. That's all
Right.
it is.
Yeah.
And with this knowledge, she helped set off the Haitian Revolution. They had a ceremony called the Bois Carmen ceremony, and she was part of the leadership there with Bookman. We've talked about Bookman before in the show. And at that ceremony, they sacrificed an animal, they did their prayers and libations, and they started off the revolution. And one of her sayings was, and she created the Haitian flag.
Okay.
And one of her sayings was, don't wrap yourself in this flag, do something. Actually go out there and do something. So at this ceremony, it said that she became, her body was taken over by the goddess Arzulu, who was a African goddess. And after that ceremony, that night, the Haitian Revolution started en masse all throughout the island. And within 1 week, 1,800 concentration camps, aka plantations. 1,800 concentration camps, and over 1,000 enslavers were already dead. So these two women helped create the very first government ever formed by formerly enslaved peoples anywhere in the history of the world. The African descendant Haitians in the Haitian Revolution, who again defeated the French twice, the Spanish once, and the English once, all to establish the first formerly enslaved government, democratic government anywhere in the world. Something to be proud of. We should know more about that.
Yes. I'm going to talk a little bit about Miss Ida B. Wells. She was born about 70 miles from Memphis, Tennessee, in Mississippi, and her people moved to Memphis, Tennessee when she was 6 years old. And before 1900, she said that she witnessed one of the most brutal things that she would ever come into. She said that in 1906, said that these white people riding around on horses, just shooting black people. And she lived in Memphis, Tennessee as long as she could, because she was out from the time that she was little to the time she got old enough. Her thing was she would see black men being hung, you know. So she worked on that.
Yes, she did.
She worked on that, and she had to leave Memphis, Tennessee, and went to Chicago, where
She made lynching a national issue.
yeah,
Yes,
yes, definitely did, you know. And she went on to Chicago, where she continued to work on that. And in fact, she was one of the people that helped put the
Chicago Defender.
yeah.
Yeah.
But one of the things she said that one had better be out here trying to get justice than to be like a dog or a mouse hooked in a trap and never doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that I remember about Miss Ida B. Wells.
And she was indispensable to the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
You know, nowadays, and we may be as guilty as anyone else, we look back on the civil rights era, we always try to define whether it was the Malcolm X part that was the most powerful or the Martin Luther King nonviolent segment that was the most powerful. But Ida B. Wells lifted both of them up because she went in front of the Senate committees and testified about lynching and the injustice in the South. And she did it in a way that was brave, courageous, unabashed. She didn't bow her head and scratch her head.
No.
She didn't smile when there was no joke.
No.
She didn't look stupid when nobody asked her anything. She went directly to where they lived and told them about themselves, right there in the U.S. Senate and in the newspaper articles. When she got ran out of Memphis, it was after one of those powerful editorials she did in front of her paper about what this lynching was. You know, the inhumanity of it and the barbarity of it and the injustice of it. And they ran her out of town because you know the message was starting to get out nationwide. So you're absolutely right, Ahmad.
So she had run for her life?
Praise. Pardon?
She ran for her life?
I wouldn't say ran for life because they bombed her. They bombed her newspaper place, and she was lucky to survive. I think she decided that the better part of valor is discretion, and she just retreated a little bit to Chicago, where she was free to write. And by then she had a name, and by then when she wrote, it resonated and it went through the nation. And so she started long before Martin Luther King was even an educated man. He may have been a child when she started her efforts. And same thing with Malcolm X. So as much as we look back on those two men and think of them as the father of the civil rights movement, we should look at women like Ida B. Wells as the mothers, or maybe even the grandmothers, because without them, a lot of this wouldn't have been possible.
Unfortunately, we tended to look at the men. Women were still kept in the background, and therefore nobody would have associated them with the civil rights movement.
You're right, but you know that's one of the reasons we were trying to
highlight them.
Yeah, because the women and you know most people don't know, but the women were the backbone
of the family
of all of these things
in history.
Yeah.
Well, it's part of the African tradition. If you go back to our ancestors and you look how the family unit was operated, the family came down through the mother side of the family. You took the mother's name. It was a matriarchal society. women were not seen as less than. Women were not seen as less powerful or less significant or less godly.
Right.
Yeah. And that's still
the original history's originally Holy Trinity, which was just a way to explain to the masses the wonders of creation, had three figures, the Holy Trinity.
Yep.
It had the Father, the Son, and the Mother.
Yeah.
It didn't have no stupid Holy Ghost.
Right.
It had the Mother.
Yeah.
It had Asar, Set, and Haru. And that was a way to teach people about the circumstances of their existence here on this planet and how we came to be on Earth and where we stood in the universe. It was a scientific, mathematical, and philosophical and moral story, all embedded in there. And again, it's not possible without the woman.
Right.
Right.
Because to get the son,
Right. You got to go through
you
the
have to have a mother.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so this is all part of the African tradition. So I would say, there's a saying that, in fact, it's an African proverb. The hunter is always glorified in the hunt, unless a lion lives to tell the story.
Yeah.
I'm butchering the proverb, but it's along that line.
Yeah.
And here we are in the United States, 400 years of living here, and many of us have become as misogynistic and male dominant as our European oppressors.
Yeah.
And we should not forget who we are.
Yeah.
And where we come
the
from.
strength of
Yeah,
the family,
yeah.
the strength of our people comes through the woman.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Padre, we happened to witness last week. 15-year-old father bought him a gun. 15 now.
Oxford. Oxford High School.
Yeah. Father bought him a gun for Christmas and everything. 15, not even out of high school. And the thing is that just from what I've been reading and what they've been saying on the news is that the parents were there before he went out and killed these other kids.
Yeah.
And from what I was reading, they, oh, he's okay and everything. And when they leave, he takes the gun out of his backpack and go and kill these 4 kids. Was it 4?
Yeah.
4 dead,
And
7 wounded.
yeah. Well, what's happening here, man?
First off, the parents were irresponsible to buy that type of weapon for a 15-year-old. He can't even legally go and get one on his own.
Right.
So that was irresponsible.
A 15-year-old with documented emotional issues.
Yes. He has serious emotional problems. And then the mother is texting him, LOL, I am not mad at you. Just don't get caught. Wait a second. It's okay to do this as long as you're not caught. So if they didn't catch him, these people would have died and nobody to pay the price.
And what she was joking about, what he got caught doing, he was shopping for ammunition on
Yes.
his phone in class.
In class.
After having written a note saying that there's blood everywhere and I don't want to do this and somebody help me.
There was
the
a
kid's struggling.
He's
So they
crying
say,
out for help.
Yes, he's crying out for help. They see all this, they call him into the office and the parents slough it off like no big deal.
Yeah.
Now,
And they leave him they refuse to take him out of school.
the
So they
next
leave him
point
there.
here is the school should have some sort of culpability here.
Could agree more.
Because if the parents didn't want to take him, the school, I would say, should have called the police to take him home or to CMH,
Yeah.
mental health.
Yeah.
They should not have allowed him to go back to class,
Right.
knowing what they know. So that's an issue with the school too.
like
And I know there is some talk about investigating the school to know how they fit into this.
Yeah, but see, there's a pattern here. The same thing happened to the man in Wisconsin, the little boy. The parents dropped him off and put him in harm's way, and she didn't get incarcerated or anything. I mean, she was the problem, not the boy. But the same situation here, and these people went into hiding And you know, it's going to happen again because they teaching their children at a young age to do these horrific crimes.
Life doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, Chuck, you reminded me of something when you brought up the Wisconsin case, because there's a nexus between Oxford, Michigan, and Kenosha, Wisconsin, and that's Trumpism. Both sets of parents were Trumpanzees.
Right.
You had the mother take this boy out for celebratory beer after he shot up and killed two people.
Right.
3 people killed 2.
Yeah.
Mother took him out. He's 17 years old.
Yeah.
Took him out for a beer with QAnon type cats, right? This woman here in Oxford, Michigan, had written an open letter to Donald Trump, and it was the most profane, illogical, stupid thing you'd ever read. But part of what she said was, "You can grab me by the pee anytime you want to," and going on and on about how we got to get rid of these immigrants and illegals and all this madness that they talk over there.
Right.
Meanwhile, the problem is right there in her own household. In both cases.
Yeah.
Yes.
In both cases.
Yeah.
They're raising little murderers
Right.
because of their attitude. And we shouldn't be surprised.
Right.
They fetishize guns. They make them easily available.
Yeah.
They speak on the Second Amendment as if it was written in stone the way they interpret it,
Yeah.
Right.
which wasn't interpreted that
No.
way at all until
No.
2004.
No,
Right.
it wasn't.
And now we've got a problem where the nation is awash in guns. Trillions of rounds of ammunition have been sold in the last couple of years. And this may be just the tip of the iceberg for
Yeah.
these people, because they seem to be chomping at the bit
Right.
to kill.
Oh,
somebody.
yeah.
Well,
Like you said that about the iceman, their mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
these folks are going to do more and more of this because take the 2 political parties we have, the 2 main parties, Republicans, Democrats. Have you heard anything about coming from the Republicans about what is happening? What we heard so far? Oh, Rittenhouse he did a great job for the country. We got to offer him an internship so maybe he can do some more good. Senators fighting, congressmen fighting. I'll wrestle you for him. So what are you saying? Man, go on out and kill people. You're okay. We're going to pull you in. You belong to the camp. And then take the parents. And we got to understand parents have a grave responsibility.
Yeah.
If I buy my child a powerful gun, right, an assault weapon, drive him so many miles away to this place,
Another state.
and for him to go and ask somebody, would you like me to protect your property? Nobody invited him. He went there inviting himself to protect the property.
Yeah, another state.
Now they're saying, well, it's protect yourself. You know, you got this is about protection. I got to protect myself. Wait a second. If you as a minor, incidentally supposed to be doing schoolwork, he should have been home studying. If this student were at home doing his studies, he wouldn't be over there with a gun.
In harm's
He
way.
wouldn't hurt anybody, nor any chance of him being hurt.
Yeah.
Well,
So the mother is responsible.
Yeah.
well,
But he got off.
The thing is that, as Dennis was saying, you look at a bunch of these places in Michigan, Wisconsin, and all the rest of the places, and it's a lot of these little old places where, you know, it's nothing for a parent to give their son daughter a gun, you know, at 12 and 18 years old.
No, but that is, they can only have and use these guns with the parents present. And these were usually for going hunting. What he had is not a gun for hunting.
No.
Doesn't matter.
Well,
It doesn't matter.
No.
The way it is now, what Rittenhouse had was an AR-15,
Yeah.
which is what you carried in Vietnam.
Right.
It's called an M16.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you carried in Vietnam.
Right.
It's made for killing human
Yeah.
beings.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And his illegality, if you want to call it that, was more of a violation of rules, not law. So the fact that he was illegally carrying a firearm was one of the charges that was brought against him initially, and the judge just dropped that.
Well, that's another story with that judge.
Yeah,
The judge needs to be on trial too.
Well, you know, to the judge's credit, well, to give the judge's position, I should put it that way. The prosecution didn't bring it up.
Right.
It wasn't even an issue for them. That's how endemic these things had become. Where people like me who hate guns, I got a couple of them now, and probably go get another one because it's the society we live in.
It's going to pot.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have one now.
Yeah, I mean, every month somewhere they're having a gun show.
Yeah.
And they are flocking. These white people are flocking to these gun shows.
Oh yeah, they have one. They have one in what is it, Holt?
Mason, they do have them over in Mason area too.
I don't know where they have because you wouldn't catch me in there.
But you
Because
know,
they might get that little fantasy. Oh, there's one there.
Yeah.
Get him, Lee.
Yeah.
I see him, Cody. Nah, I ain't gonna be
the
there.
thing is that people out here now, and you know, I have this argument with a couple of people all the time. Well, it's getting better. To
What's
me,
getting better?
They want to say that the situations, you know, for as people getting along. To me, just to me,
They
to
think
me,
it's better?
yeah, yeah. To me, things are worse now than they ever been, because you know, 50 to 60 years ago, you know, we had this thing, and then the 60s when we was doing all this fighting and everything, but we kind of like, okay,
But the cultures weren't awash in guns.
right,
That's the difference today.
Yeah.
Attitudes haven't changed.
right,
You know, guys used to use the fist.
Yeah, man.
Now,
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
decide, man, I can't hurt my hand. It's easier to pull a trigger.
right,
Yeah, why
right.
should I get on the ground scuff
Yeah.
when I can just pull the trigger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You
the
know?
attitude.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, going back to this Oxford situation,
Mm-hmm.
the parents go on the lam,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Yeah.
All right. They got a 15-year-old boy fighting for his very
Yeah,
life,
yeah.
right? They like out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Good luck to you. And they're gone.
Yeah.
And the speculation, I have not heard this confirmed, but the speculation is they couldn't get across into Canada because they didn't have a vaccine card. Wouldn't that be the most ironic thing you ever heard of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These Trumpanzees trying to make an
Yeah.
escape and
And
couldn't
didn't get the
away
shot.
because they listened to Trump
Yeah.
about not getting
Get
the
the
vaccine.
shot, yeah.
They didn't have proof of vaccination,
Right.
so they couldn't get across
Right.
the border.
Right.
Now, I hope it's true. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's
I
how
was
ignorant.
cracking up, man.
That's how ignorant they are.
Yeah.
But
And
you
then,
know,
but you know, the funny part is, not only could they not get across the border, they were willing to go, and they were willing to tell their son, "Hey, baby,
Yeah.
Yeah.
good luck
yeah,
to you,
yeah,
because
yeah.
mom
you know,
and pop's got to make a future
Yeah.
for herself."
Right.
well, now they're in the can.
Yeah,
With all
man.
three of them in the
And
same
all
cell.
three of them in the same
Yeah.
prison.
and
Same jail.
And the
Yeah.
lawyer claiming, well, they was going to give themselves up. They just,
Yeah.
I was like,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that was the premise we were hearing.
You talk
They
about
are go-
admission of guilt.
They are going
Yeah.
to submit,
yeah,
and they'll be on. They would have a hearing and blah 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 blah, whatever else. But instead, the idea for running was they had to protect themselves. They were trying to protect themselves from, I guess, the mob that would be on them.
well,
So,
marshal.
I don't know. That might be their reasoning, but the idea was they were running to get away from.
I think what it was what it appeared to be. It was
Yeah.
an admission of
It
guilt.
is what it was.
Yeah.
And they was bouncing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They was getting out
Yeah.
of
Well,
town.
you know-
But what scares me is there's other parents out there like that.
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
That's
Million
scary.
of them out there like that, you know.
Yeah.
But-
Chuck, the unfortunate thing is, too many of us still hold on to do the right thing.
Right.
And I'm not saying not to do the right thing, don't get me wrong. But you hear, oh, well, it's my right, my Second Amendment right.
Yeah.
That's not what the amendment is talking about. It says militia.
yeah,
And no one man is a militia.
right.
So-
but you know, as Dennis was saying, that changed in
2004.
2004, because before then we had all these, you know, other things, you know, before you could get guns and everything. And at one time, the National Rifle Association. Anyway,
NRA.
They was more sensible, but after 204, they got crazy, man. People went going to stores, buying up the guns and things.
Right. And
Why?
They was offending
Why?
criminals.
Why are they buying them up?
Fear
Fear of what?
of
of
us.
us.
Why they have to be afraid of us?
Well,
Because of guilt
Guilt for what?
for what they done.
Okay. Now, but then when your politicians, your leaders are telling you, oh, they're going to come and take your gun, and when they come, you have to be ready to fight them and destroy them.
But see, Scalia, the justice who wrote that opinion about the Second Amendment being about an individual right, he was also a party to the NRA.
Yeah.
The NRA
Oh, yeah.
at one time was all about teaching people gun safety, learning how to use
How
rabbits,
to hunt.
hunt rabbits and squirrels and deer, and defense in the home. And they never, for all the years they existed, ever said that this is an individual right that you go out with any kind of gun you want. No regulations apply. It's your constitutional right. That didn't come until Scalia gave permission to come up with that crap. But what they did, they just started buying off politicians.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, lobbying.
Oh, yeah,
That's why you can't,
So,
up
but-
to now, nothing is being said.
But you had these guys being filmed on yachts and helicopters and private jets, and the NRAs living like ballers.
Oh, yeah.
The law came down on them. The new attorney general in the state of New York has brought a major suit against them. They tried to leave and move to Texas.
Yeah. Yep.
And she said, and the court said, no, you can't move. You
Right.
can move if you want to, but the case is going to be held here in New York.
Yeah.
And so the NRA is nearly bankrupt now.
It is
And
bankrupt.
I think the influence that they have over politicians now is going to wane in time.
But wait.
But the damage has been done. The guns are out here.
Right.
The Supreme Court has moved so far to the right, they can't even see left.
Right.
And you think it's ever going to be a chance we can get sensible gun regulations
No.
and
No.
background checks and things like that?
No.
Probably not.
And never.
Even though the NRA is in the situation it is, look at these puppies, puppets, how they're still holding on to the string and allowing them to pull them around. They can't even stand up. Look, just same way they're doing to Trump. For
Doing
Trump,
for Trump.
rather than for
For
Trump. Bowing to him like some ridiculous puppies.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? Don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, you are too arrogant. If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.